All right, we're a minute after the hour. We want to make sure we really honor everyone's time. So I know folks are going to be jumping in, but we are recording this meeting, so we'll make it available to anyone after the fact. We'll send out for anybody who registered. We'll send out a copy of this that you can share around or rewatch. I'm going to share a quick agenda so that you know if you want to stay on this call or not, or if you're watching the recording, if you want to watch this recording or not. So our agenda is pretty straightforward. We're going to have a look at the Google Workspace for Education options. There's 4 options, 3 of them are paid, and we'll do kind of a quick dive into those 4 options. And we've got a slide that shows you, the key differences between them. And then we're going to spend a little extra time on Google Plus, which is obviously the most feature rich. And why would you want to look at Google Plus? And then we'll actually talk about Google Gemini as well, which I know we didn't really talk much about that when we were inviting folks, but Google Gemini is such a exciting topic. AI, how does it work with Google Workspace currently? And so we're going to talk about that. And then we'll pass it over from Arne to Dan, and Dan will talk about RGT consultants. We'll talk about a promotion going on right now with Google, where with Google Plus, you can get some resources paid for by Google, which is great. And then we'll do Q&A at the very end. You'll notice that the chat feature is disabled, but the Q&A feature should be enabled. And so feel free to drop your questions in there, and then we'll kind of save those for the end. We actually already have a couple questions, which is kind of great. We'll see if we cover that in the presentation or if we just cover those at the end. We'll do quick introductions now. I'm Charlie with Advent Tech. I'm the CEO of Advent Tech. I've been in educational technology about 17 years. And our motto is we educate, we sell tech. So if you get a benefit out of this, we are happy. If you learn something new about Google, we're happy. You don't have to buy stuff from us to benefit from our motto. We educate, we sell tech. But even if you don't buy your Google licenses from us, we sell just about everything that schools buy by way of hardware and software. So we'd love to talk to you and work with you. And I'm going to pass it to Arne to introduce herself, and then to Dan to introduce himself. So go ahead, Arne.
Thank you, Charlie. Welcome, everyone. I look forward to talking to you today. I am Arne Smart. I am with Google. I'm a channel account manager, which means I support channel partners such as Charlie and Dan. And I will turn it over to Dan, and then we'll get started with the program.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Dan Kakish, former Googler, but founded a company with engineering resources and IT resources specifically for the education market. So cover that a little bit later on, but nice to meet all of you and be here to share some of the good work that Google's doing, and Advent Tech is as well.
All right, Arne, back to you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it very much. So we're going to jump right into, Charlie said you're going to learn about the 4 editions and the focus on Plus. So away we go. So the first edition of Google Workspace for Education is Fundamentals. It is a free version that you get from Google. You do not get it from a reseller. You have to request it from Google. Many of you on here probably already have it. Everybody may have it. But if you don't, that is your first step in entering the Google Workspace for Education world with Google, is getting Fundamentals. It is free. You have to be an accredited school to have it. Some of you could be on other versions of Google Workspace like Business Starter or Nonprofit. So we do have an upgrade path if you would like to see if you qualify. So you can always reach out to Charlie after this and learn more. There is a link on here that you can register. Once you register, everything goes to Google and they work with you directly. So with that said, let's assume everybody's on Fundamentals and you're ready to learn more about the 3 paid versions. The first paid version I'm going to talk to you about today is Standard. Standard is for those schools who are interested in just the security features. We have some pretty robust security features that you can see listed here. I will go more into those features when we talk about Plus, but just remember Standard and security both start with an S. So that's how you can remember, why would I buy Standard? Teaching and Learning Upgrade is just what it says. It's for the teachers. You have to have Fundamentals for Standard, T&L, and Plus. But the teachers, if you buy only for your teachers, they would be on Teaching and Learning, and the students would be on Fundamentals. So again, it explains itself. So now let's go to Plus. That is our most enriched and robust subscription that we have. I will go into many of the details in that, but first I want to talk about how we sell the 3 paid versions. For standard, we require for standard and plus that you buy 1 license for every student in your school. And with every 4 licenses you buy, you get 1 free staff license. So we do a 4-to-1 ratio. And the pricing you see below is MSRP, and that's all you will ever hear Google talk about is MSRP. So if you want to get standard, it's $3 per student per year. And again, it's that 4-to-1 ratio where you'll buy 4 students and get 1 free staff. Google does require that you submit a student verification letter when you order either standard or plus, and all that letter is stating is you're buying enough of these licenses to cover the students in your school. The teaching and learning upgrade, however, is sold a little bit differently. You can buy 1 of those for 1 teacher. You can buy 10, you can buy 100. We don't care about your student count because you're only buying for the staff or the teachers in this case. Education Plus is $5 per student per year. Again, that same 4-to-1 ratio and also needing that student verification letter. So we'll touch on storage before we move out to the Education Plus details. With fundamentals, you get 100 terabytes of pool storage. When you buy standard, you do not get any additional storage. When you get teaching and learning, you get an additional 100 gigabytes per license that you order of TNL. So if you buy 1 license, you get an additional 100 gigs. If you buy 10 licenses, you get 10 times 100 gigs. And then when you purchase Education Plus, we give you 20 gigs per license, and that includes the free licenses. So quite a bit of storage comes with Plus. So let me start with a deeper dive into Plus and why you would want to have Plus over the standard or TNL versions. First of all, you get advanced security insights. Remember I said standard and security are synonymous? Well, with Plus, you get even more security. You get advanced tools that I will show you a little more later. You're also going to get more teaching and learning features than if you just bought TNL, and it is your all-in-one EdTech solution. Many of the features that we develop for TNL, just the teaching and learning version, we always put those in Plus. But when we are doing advanced features, the only version that gets those are Education Plus. So even TNL does not get all the advanced features for the teachers. So let's talk a little bit about what you get from a security standpoint. You get a security dashboard where you can see reports instantly. You get a context-aware access. That's where you create the policies for people and apps. You get real-time alerts from the Alert Center. You get an investigation tool, which allows you to investigate and triage any privacy threats that you think may be coming in. And we also have called Security Sandbox that automatically scans every email coming into your system for malware. So let's look over at the security dashboard. You can see here, I know it's probably hard to see, but these are some of the reports that you would get. And we can, see those come in. You can set up the way that you want to see them. You can monitor and analyze these. You can assess your data exposure with visibility by using these reports. And you can gain insight into any phishing messages that target your users or your institution. Context aware, I mentioned that earlier. That's where you create granular access control based on the attributes of your users and your apps. You set up rules on how users can access your Google Workspace. And you can find and fix critical access security gaps within just a few clicks. The Alert Center, this allows you to have a comprehensive alert across all your Google Workspace users and the apps in one place, which is your Google Admin Console. You get in-depth alert details that enable you to resolve security issues quickly. You can act in real time here and see what is going on. You don't have to wait for later because you get instant alerts with the critical security alert feature. And then the investigation tool that allows you to target and address your phishing, spoofing, and other issues quickly. You can remediate threats. You can identify and prioritize security issues. And if you suspect something going on when there is a meet going on using the Google Meet feature, you can also end that from this dashboard.
And,
so
if I can
talked a lot about your.
If I can just, stop you for a second. I mean, again, RNA, that's such a robust set of security tools. And I just, it's such a great presentation, but I've worked with companies that have sold tools like CrowdStrike or SentinelOne or a number of great security tools, and to get to where you can detect, identify and then respond to threats is usually a very complicated process, and might even be multiple solution providers for endpoint security and network security. And so I just want to mention, because Arne, you presented that, and I know that, from a Google perspective, great security is just the norm. But I just had to highlight for a second that, I'm kind of wowed by those Google Plus features, having done some cybersecurity work as a reseller and working with a number of different solutions. And again, Fortinet's a great solution. Microsoft's got great solutions, but you could just have it in one management console doing all your cybersecurity management for your users. And of course, that doesn't mean there's not maybe some additional cybersecurity layers, but I just had to highlight the fact that what you just said, to be able to detect, identify, and respond to a threat from one pane of glass in a sort of Google fashion, so it's going to be easy to use. That's a huge feature. And we'll talk about kind of how you might be able to demo this later. We'll kind of talk about that here in a minute, but that's one of the features that if you're thinking about doing a demo of Google Plus, I'd 100% test that out, and because it's just such a robust security package for such a minimal addition in terms of price point compared to what you're doing right now. Because the amount of money you spend for typical cybersecurity solutions is going to be much more than what we just talked about here. So I just had to highlight that. Cybersecurity is one of those obviously hot topics. COSIN, Consortium for School Networks, says it's the big topic this year in educational technology, and Google has a great solution. So Arne, I'll let you continue on. I just had to say this. I mean, that's an exciting part of Google Plus.
Yes, thank you, Charlie. And I too worked for a security company for a while, and we could not do everything from one pane of glass in one admin console. So yes, I had not learned about all the wonderful things at Google when I was working there, and this amazes me just as well. And the other thing I will say about it is, you're right, the ease of using Google, because you mentioned that, since it is Google, it's easier to use. And another thing, Google, no one has, knock on wood, been able to cut through Google and do a cybersecurity attack. And we have, many slides that talk about how we have never been hacked or attacked.
Right.
Schools have not using Google. So great testimonial there. So let's jump into some of the teacher features, because I know that's important too. So Plus really has an instructional impact. There are practice sets, originality reports, interactive questions for YouTube, classroom analytics, classroom add-ons, shared class templates, and enhanced Google Meet capabilities. So Practice sets is something that was added just about a year and a half ago, where teachers can go in and create assignments for students and they get immediate interactive feedback. Originality reports, that is where a school can compare a student's work against what is out on the web or what is in the school's own repository. Meaning, if a teacher had a student last year and they have their sibling this year, they can look to see, did this year's student copy last year's report? So those reports are saved in that school's database. They can run that through and they can call out this year's sibling and say, Johnny, I see this report looks just like your sister's report from last year. I'm going to give you a day to go back and create your own work. So that is how effective it is. They can see if the students copy it right off the web, Wikipedia or other sites. So it is really a great tool. So a little bit more about the practice sets here. What it does, the teacher creates questions. They can be math questions. They can be in any subject. The student can go out, show their work, as you see in the interactive video going on, and select their answer. If they select the wrong answer, the teacher can have it set up where the student then can get help to understand how they did the problem wrong or where they went wrong on the answer, and it's individualized for the students. Classroom analytics. This just allows the teachers to go out and analyze what's going on with their classroom, how students are performing on a one-to-one basis. There's many ways the teachers can set this up to work for their class efficiently. And a great feature of Plus that no other education, workspace for education has is the enhanced capability of Meet. You can have over 1,000 attendees. You can have 500 contributors, 500 viewers. You can remove the language barrier by setting up live translate captions. You can record the class for those who could not attend. One of the things that I've seen teachers use Meet for and using that translate feature is when they're having the student-teacher conferences and they're working with English as a second language for the students. They can have the parents sit across the room and turn on language translator, and the student doesn't have to be involved in translating for their parents who may not have English as their first language. It's really helpful for them to have a meaningful conversation back and forth between student or the parents of the student and the teacher. Now, the student may be in this meeting or may not, but it is a great feature. I know when I was teaching a few years ago, we used this feature for the student, for the meetings with the students and also with their parents. It really helped out and it made the parents feel a part of the meeting. So my two favorite slides of this presentation are coming up at this point. The reason I say they're my favorite, because I think everybody can relate to these slides. You have all these different categories: storage, video conferencing, email. As you can see, everybody can read here. And I know as you look in each of these boxes, you will see names that not only do you know, but unless you're on Education Plus and have gotten rid of all these, you are probably managing at least 1, 2, or 3 of these out of every single box. So what does that mean for you? Well, there's security, because you have to worry about the security of each and every product. You have to worry about access. You have to worry about managing logins and passwords. How many times do people come to you and say, I forgot my login, I forgot my password? You're having to provide support for each of these. You're having to monitor them, maintain them, and oh yes, you have to pay for them. These are all paid subscriptions at a different price, at a different renewal time, and they don't talk to each other. But If you get Education Plus, we keep all the same categories we had on the previous page, but you have one point of entry. You have one login and password. You have one subscription. You have products that all talk to each other. So that's important from an IT perspective because you only have one thing to manage. It's important in the classroom because when a teacher is teaching and he or she has to stop what they're doing and log into one of those other items, what's the first thing that goes on? The students wander, they start talking. It's a disruption to the class. But when the teacher is using Education Plus, they go from one to the other seamlessly, and it never breaks the concentration of the teacher, or does it break the concentration of the students? And all these things talk to each other. The teacher doesn't have to go, uh-oh, what was my password for whatever they were trying to get into? They just click and keep right on going. So what is good about this is you can have a trial. We have trials for standard in teaching and learning, but I really think if you are not on Education Plus, you should get a trial of it. And what is a trial? It's 50 users for 60 days getting to try out every aspect I just showed you. You can set it up. You can have your teachers use it. You can have your students use it. And you can have your admins use it. So it's an all-in-one, one-stop. Everybody gets to play with that and use your school data as you see fit in it. It's not something that's canned. You'll get an instruction guide on what to do weeks 1 through 8 as the school. And if you're a reseller, Charlie here will be able to get a guide also that he can check in with you and see how you're progressing with each of these weeks. So it's a real nice guide for both of you to work together. And at the end, I think you will see Plus is a great asset for your school. So now let's jump into Gemini.
Let's do those,
Okay.
Arne. We got a question on our Q&A, and then I think we might bump over to Dan's slides because, again, we told everybody this would be about a 30-minute webinar. I think if it's okay, then what we'll do, anybody that wants to hang on past the 30 minutes, we'll kind of come back to Gemini, if that's okay. But we got a question that I think, a question that kind of bridges those two topics. So you talked about originality reports and looking for plagiarism. One of the questions we had was, hey, is Google using Gemini AI to detect plagiarism? And it's like, well, I think the answer to that is no, but we do that some other way, right? So can you answer that question?
Right. Detecting plagiarism is not through Gemini AI at this time. It is strictly just through anything that is out on the web, not something that is created by Gemini. But I am sure that is going to be a feature that we will have soon because it is going to be needed as Gemini grows.
Yeah. But the originality reports, that's what you called them, the plagiarism detection, that's a feature of Google Plus. So that's there, and it can look at what's on the web, and it can even look at documents previously submitted, like you said. So we totally have that feature with Google Plus, but we're not using AI to do it. Yeah.
No, we're not using AI, but it just runs through a database. If the school retains all the reports on that, all that storage I told you were going to get if you bought Plus, if you're keeping those reports year after year, then the plagiarism can go check all those reports.
That's great. Well, Dan, we'll pass over to you, and then Arne will come back for Gemini. Go ahead, Dan.
That sounds great.
I'll do it super quick. So Dan Kakish, founder of RGT Consultants, which we stand for Run, Grow, Transform. And really, we're technical arm, and think of us as services that we provide as an extension of your IT team, or some schools may not have an IT team. We engage as the technical experts. Most of our employees are former Google employees or former IT managers at school districts, so really heavy in regards to the technical aspect. And so we have quite a bit of clients already and quite a bit of certifications. And Arne, if we head to the next slide, and to kind of recap what Arne has mentioned, when you kind of think about the Google ecosystem and compare to other ecosystems that are out there, this is a study, and what you'll see is you'll recognize about a 57% reduction in total cost over a 5-year period when you are adopting Google Workspace Plus and Chromebooks in your school district, and compared to the same equivalent of a 5 Microsoft plan and Windows. And really, it's not just from a security perspective, but also an ease. So you'll see quite a bit of freeing up your IT time whenever you adopt Google for education solutions as well. And so you could kind of see here the school district of about 12,000 students recognize about a $17 million reduction over a 5-year period. So quite a bit of savings with increased security and increased collaboration. Head to the next slide. And just recapping 3 things we do as an organization. We have technical IT services, technical consulting services, and training services. And really all of these are to help you optimize your deployment of Google Workspace Plus or Chromebooks. We have a model where we could help you and be that IT department for you, or we have a model as well to be an extension of your IT department. And we'll go to the next slide. Typically, as an organization or a school, you're typically deploying, whether it's software, hardware, Google Workspace, Microsoft, Windows, whatever it may be. You're kind of following a methodology of designing, deploying, and operating. And what we've done is we've kind of built some of these services under each one of these stages to help you as a school to be able to take advantage of some of these services instead of maybe not having the expertise. We do this day in, day out as well too. And we're an Advent Tech partner and a Google Services partner as well too. We'll head to the next slide because I know we're getting up on time. But two things that are out there that are really important right now. If you are looking to move to Google Workspace Plus, there is some funding and some promotions that Google is helping you as a school or a school district to be able to utilize for IT services. So if you're thinking, how do we do this? How do we activate our security? How do we set up our management console? Google has engaged with us and other services partners. When you buy this, you'll be able to utilize funding for free that you would be able to engage with us to set up your domain, your security parameters. Same thing if you don't have Chromebooks today and struggling a little bit maybe with Windows 11 migration with the TPN chip as well too. There's also another promotion for buying 30 Chromebooks and 30 management licenses, in which you'd get services to help you set up your management. So outside of that, even if there's other services or IT help that you need, please reach out to Charlie and team, and they can engage with us as well and with you to provide some of these services to you. So Charlie, hopefully that was fast enough for you. I tried to get to some of the questions and honor our time commitment.
Yeah, and I know not everybody will be able to, hit those different criteria. Maybe you've got Chromebooks, you can't quite buy 500 Google Plus licenses, but if you can hit one of those criteria, again, Google is paying for these training resources for great companies like RGT to come in and say, we want you to know how to use these tools. We'll show you how to use them. So that's another great reason to look at Google Plus. Questions that are coming in seem to be Gemini related. So I'm going to say, if you need to leave now, then you can leave. We'll otherwise keep recording because we're at the 30-minute mark. And then Arne, I think we just have you go back to your Google Gemini slides, if that's okay. Because again, they're just sort of, is Google Gemini free? What is the additional cost? Some of those questions, I think. And if there's other questions that are not Gemini related, of course, to the other stuff we talked about, put those in, but it looks like they're Gemini related, which is great.
Okay. So Gemini for Education was just launched last month. We at Google had Gemini Enterprise, which was launched last year. And before that, we had a product called Duet AI and Bard. Everything is now Gemini. There is still Gemini Enterprise for the enterprise companies, but we now have Gemini specifically for education. It is only for 18 years and above. So as you think about your schools, that's pretty much you're going to have it for the teachers, the staff to use and not the students. So what can Gemini do for you? What can it do for the staff? It saves time. It makes learning more personal. It can inspire creativity. You can learn more confidently with the aid of the Gemini tools, along with keeping your data private and secure. The security that we have on Gemini is the same security that we have for Gemini Plus if you're buying the paid version. So Gemini can help you write, it can help you visualize, it can help you organize, and help you connect. So if it's working to help you write, that means it's in docs. If it helps you visualize, that means you're using it in presentations. Organize, you're using it in sheets. And connect, it can be used in email, video, and chat. So let's look at the versions. We have the Gemini.google.com that anybody can go out that's using the Google 1.0 Pro model. It's got some data protection, but not as much because it is free. And it's available in 40 languages. But the students still have to be 18 or over. So that's the free version. We also have the enhanced chat experience in Gemini.google.com, and that's for those who have Workspace, but they do not have a paid version of Gemini. So since there's questions about is it free or is it paid? So yes, here's your paid version. But if you want a version that integrates with Gmail, Docs, Slides, Sheets, and Meet, that there's an actual button built right in every time you launch any of those documents, you want to either purchase Gemini Education or Gemini Education Premium. Right now, you can only purchase these two products through the reseller that sold you your paid version of Google Workspace for Education. However, if you're just on Fundamentals, the free version, you can purchase that. Hopefully you will purchase it from Charlie because you're not tied to another reseller. So if you're on Fundamentals and want to try it, please reach out to Charlie immediately. Also, if your paid subscription of Workspace for Education is up for renewal, you can also switch over to Charlie through him and add on some education Gemini for Workspace. So what is the difference in these two paid versions? The big difference is education, just Gemini Education, has a monthly usage limit of 1,000 usage. And you'll think, oh, that's not many. But every time you ask it a question, every time you make a change to anything that Gemini gives back to you, that is a usage. You will have a counter that tells you how many uses you have left. But if you want unlimited usage, you need to buy Education Premium. The pricing is listed here. Again, this is MSRP because all Google talks about. So you can buy it for $20 per user per month for a year commitment. Or if you just want to try it, sign up for a monthly plan. We call that our Flex plan. So you're like, hey, I'd really like to see if this is something we want to use. You can sign up for a monthly plan of Education or Education Premium. You can try it 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. And when you're done, you just contact your reseller and say, you know what, I tried it. I want to buy it. I want to get on a 1-year commitment to save some money. Or no, I'm not sure it's right for me at this time. Would you stop my subscription? So you get some flexibility here in purchasing the Education or Education Premium. And we're back to where I would have turned it over to Dan.
Nice.
So, Charlie, what questions do we have that I did not answer?
No, I think you answered them because they're sort of price related and what comes free and what does not. If we didn't answer the question, though, of course, drop another one here in the Q&A. And then Dan dropped a link that we'll probably just send out when we send out the webinar recording to everyone, which is Google Originality Reports. How do they work? So that's a great link. I don't know if people can see that in the Q&A because the Q&A is individual with each person typically. So, but yeah, we'll send this out, and I don't see any new questions coming out, but of course, reach out to us here at Advent Tech. We'll be happy to connect you to Arne or Dan and his team to help you move forward with your Google Workspace for Education. Thank you so much. I think we'll stop the recording there, and we'll stop the webinar shortly after. Thank you, everyone who came, and for Arne and Dan for participating and providing so much great info. And have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate being a part of this with you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.